Morning. Wasn't expecting to. wasn't expecting to do a live stream so early, but my mental health normally gets me in the mornings, so I thought I'd just go straight into this and see if I can give this recording the attention that my mental health otherwise takes from me at this time in the morning. Because on day normally goes wrong from there. So I feel the depression, the depressingness, from this habitual cycle that's been going on for far too long and I've not been able to break out of. So we'll see if this comes of anything. And given that this is quite a depressing situation, I'm going to try and focus on the story element for you, and hopefully that should cheer myself up as well. It's quite interesting at times. I'll give you a quick rundown of humanity from what my mental health and my mind has shown me as a story. I'm not saying it's right, because it's almost certainly not, but I'll share nonetheless. What we have to remember before we start is that consciousness and energy is polarized, apparently, from what my mind wants to show me. The funny thing is, I don't really believe that, but it's such a beautiful story. I'm going to share it anyway. So I was telling you before that my mind's been merging things like my schizophrenia and my past, and everything's been merging. And I think that's what's happened with spirituality. The little bits of information I have all merged into a story in a way that they can make sense, according to me. So the story is that in relation to extraterrestrial species, and aliens and the humanoid form, the story is that it originated on Earth, specifically Australia, specifically Uluru Ayers Rock. Somehow it provided the right ingredients from what was here before for the first man, woman to be born, and they were Aboriginal. Now, there is another two elements to that. I don't know who came next. What I do know, or what my mind has told me, is that as a reflection of the Aboriginal man, we had children, so to speak, and they were on Mars. Right, we're going to jump right into it. So the Martians came second. Right. Now, the reflection in consciousness of the first man being born created a parallel, pinpointing the exact opposite part of the universe, where that consciousness of the Aboriginal man was reflected. And that race is the black race. What my mind keeps telling me about the black race is that they're very intelligent, so to speak, but that's not really it. They're very they're very mind-based. So that means that's where their consciousness has gone to their minds. And it's not really reflected for whatever reason in this modern world. I don't know why. So after the Aboriginal man, after the black man, after the Martians, who came next? So, yeah. I don't know if the Martians were there when the black man visited Earth, because there's karma between the original Aboriginal man and the black man. They're linked. So it hasn't gone into too much detail, or I can't access it for whatever reason right now, but it's like, it's all, I don't know, the faint bit I can tap into, it's like the black man has come to Earth to, I don't know, it's almost cleanse himself on a karmic level, even though that they've done nothing wrong, of the fact that they were born from almost like perfection. Think about it, if Aboriginal man was perfect because he was spontaneous, he was nature, he is nature. And in some way, the black man on the opposite side of the universe, as a direct reflection of him, comes to Earth to, through his mind, has come to Earth to relearn nature, I guess. I think that's what it is. And that could be why. I'm sorry, I'm quite uncomfortable. So I'm just going to constantly, he's come to Earth to relearn nature. That's possibly why, what my uncle has told me, that the white man is mind. Maybe the black man has come to Earth to lose his mind, so to speak. Not lose their minds, but I want to be clear that I speak this way about black man, white man, Aboriginal man, red man. In quite a blunt way, I mean no racism to it, but it's coherent to the story and narrative. No way am I a racist to any race. Possibly the only race, the white race. They're the only race that really deserves beef towards, from my perspective. But anyway, so the black man came to learn, to grow. And then, what happened then? The story in my mind is that they somehow made the white race, the black man, through ancient Egypt, through the line of the pharaohs, lineage of the pharaohs, created the white race. Now, my understanding is that Alexander the Great was somehow the bloodline of the pharaohs. So that's where it starts to link in from Africa to Europe now, black man to white man, another race added to the story. Now, it would have probably been sometime, I don't know the time periods, the story has compressed it all into about 5,000 years. I don't think that all matches up, but I'll give you times and dates when I can. So then the black man birthed the white race. Now, I think what happened was, and this is where it gets interesting. So, interesting. Yeah, so the quick rundown is that sorry, bear with me. It's coming. I'm just trying to word it in such a way it's going to be a lot easier for you to hear. So as far as I can tell, you then have the Indian race that live in India, not the Red Indians, they're for something else. But then you have the Indian race, and you have like the Sufis. Now, they're essentially white. I don't know how they've come from the future, but the reason I label the Sufis is because of Babylon. And you have the bird-like alien gods, and that's the invention of the birthplace of language, which I hold as bad regards. The Towers of Babel separates the birth of the ego. So you're going to have to hear me. I'm trying to keep this one short. I might make it 2 parts or something. But, so we have the Indian race. They're from the future. So far in my mind, I think it's something else, but that's the easiest way I've been able to categorize it right now, to make it into this story. It doesn't quite sit right with me. And so were the Sufi type race, that Middle Eastern race, they're from the future also. I'll get into more detail about some of it at a later stage, but essentially, we said the Aboriginal man was the first man. So in essence, his genes would be the strongest. So it makes sense in 100 million years would all look more aboriginal than any other race. Now, the Aboriginal man lives a certain way, they're very muscular. Whereas if they were to live more like the Indian race, I'm sure that's how they would develop. That's their culture, that's their way of life, that makes them different, and a few 100 million years of evolution. So, the story is this. Alexander the Great, he went to conquered all through the Middle East, apparently, the Sufis, and made his way to India. Now, I remember my religious education teacher telling me as a child that Alexander the Great essentially conquered the world, went to India with his army, and he was encountered by a yogi or two. Alexander the Great, in his arrogance, said, "We're here to invade." The yogi said, "You're here to invade what?" Alexander the Great said, "The land." Yeah. What does that mean, though? Does that mean, like, I can live my life, and when I'm dead, I'll be buried right here? And Alexander the Great said, "Yeah, of course." I goes, "Take it, it's yours." So anyway, the wisdom behind that really struck Alexander the Great. I think everyone else must have been about fighting back then, and this new wisdom to him, and he settled his army there. That's the story my religious education teacher told me, and it's been with me, probably being Greek, ever since. So Alexander the Great went to India. I think the story of how he got there doesn't quite sit right as an accurate historical truth. Anyway, he went to India. My theory is that essentially, the thing that's prominent and I can't rule out is that the Ark of the Covenant was released when he went there. Now, my mind keeps telling me, is that due to a war? Is that due to difference of opinion? Is that due to the Indians coming back from the future to teach this new Earth race how to be? Then you've got different other elements that the Jews are essentially a failed race from the future, which would be this white race from the future, and have come back to be here, to make amends, to rectify it, I don't know. Anyway, that's all another possibility. The other story is that essentially Alexander the Great and an Indian lady mated. It could have been through rape. That could have been the first rape that was experienced, and that could have somehow released Ark of the Covenant. They could have invaded as a result. Who knows what happened? But the story is that it's a bit of a jump at the moment in my mind, but somehow they had a child. That child possibly went on to be the Buddha, or was born the Buddha, or etc., etc. And somehow from all of that interaction, the Chinese race was born. Right. Let's bring it up to modern times. I apologize if I'm referencing the wrong deity, but was it Shiva that said there are 108 ways to enlightenment? or that's an Indian. There's something within the Hindu religion. There are 108 ways to enlightenment. Anyway, so the Chinese came along. They're different in character, they're different in physique. They tend to take more to energy. I have a direct history with energy, so I can reference it. You might have to use your imagination to connect to that idea. But anyway, they've got their martial arts, their internal martial arts, and they're all really to do with energy, the movement of energy, or the movement of body, and somehow they connects to energy when it goes inverse. Things like that. I'm trying to just create a picture for you. Anyway, I'll have to leave it there. So far we've got from the first man to us having children on Mars, to the black man, him being very mind-based on the other side of the universe, coming here to learn from the Aboriginal man, birthing the white man warring with elements of this future Middle Eastern Sufi race, and settling in India, something happening in India, birthing the Chinese race. There's a lot there that is a big jump there. But anyway, birthing the Chinese race very energy based, and there are 108 ways to enlighten. Anyway, please do leave a comment to tell me if anyone's found that at all interesting. Or to come another time. Thank you.